game theory, FNAF Mystery Solved Part 1. And a huge shout out to MatPat. I've seen a couple of his videos before. I mean, I've seen many of his videos, but never the FNAF ones. So I'm excited to check this out. And I hope you guys are as well. Oh, shoot. Dude, what the? Matt looks so young here. Can we just travel back in time? What the? Guys, I think we just traveled like 10 years back in time. We're back in 2016.
It's time.
Dude, this is a pretty goated intro, not gonna lie.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory, where good things, or at least FNAF things, come to those who wait. And man, when it comes to this game series, no one was waiting for anything. I mean, the second game came out 3 months after the first, the trailer for the third was 2 months later, and like 4 minutes after that, the game was available to download. So forgive me if I was caught with my pants down on that one. I just wasn't prepared for it. But even more impressive than that abbreviated timeline was your ability to rip that final game apart. Hours after the release of the game, people were discussing good versus bad endings, 8-bit Atari cake, glitching through walls, and punching a flipping code into cement bricks arranged like a telephone dial pad. In regards to that last one, I have two things to say.
So apparently the first 3 games came out in like a really small period of time, right? So during that time, which I really didn't pay attention to FNAF too much back then, was Five Nights at Freddy's as a franchise like huge back then? Like, was it super poppin'? Because 3 games within a year basically came out. 2014 was peak FNAF. Dude, that's crazy. Honestly wish I was more invested into this game back then, but I'm just really glad that I finally completed the games, the first 4 at least, but makes me appreciate these videos a lot more.
Hey, first off, well done to you guys for figuring it out so quickly, and secondly, Scott, seriously. Seriously, Scott? Oh look, here's a wall. Let me just dial in my phone number. Beep boop boop beep boop boop. What? When did we jump from a point-and-click horror game to magical fantasy? This thing is like platform 9 3/4. I expect Harry effing Potter to apparate into Pirate's Cove or something. Jeez, here I was thinking that you'd plug your numbers into, the one other place that you see numbers in this game, the bonus jump scare menu, or something, anything, but nope, dialing it into a wall makes so much more sense. Okay. Sorry, just needed to get that one off my chest. Moving on. Now, with 15 days at Freddy's under our belts and a few overtime hours clocked in for good measure, we have ourselves a completed video game trilogy, with the third game giving us more jump scares, more phone guy,
I
and
hated
more
the third game.
fan. But this game also contains the final clues we need to get some closure on this game's deviously vague story. Scotty C certainly didn't make things any easier for us, but at this point I think we finally have enough puzzle pieces scattered across the 3 games to assemble a fairly accurate picture of this franchise's lore. Since you guys had a, let's just say, above average interest in this theory, I wanted to create something that answered as many questions as possible about this franchise. But beyond just the details, the question we all want an answer to is, what exactly happened in the story throughout this series? It's a pretty fundamental question to not have an answer to, and yet, despite thousands of videos, forum entries, and Tumblr posts. Whoa, hey, put that away.
Yo, what is this?
You behave yourself. This game is already scary enough without you sticking your hook somewhere it doesn't belong, okay?
The furry
Despite
community
all
was
those
like,
things, we
can't
still don't have
hold
a
back.
clear picture on the details. Yes, there's a child killer on the loose, the infamous purple guy, who's been using Fazbear pizzerias as his hunting ground of choice for years, but Going into the third game, we still weren't sure about who this guy was or even how many victims he'd officially taken. Then there are the animatronics. Sure, we generally understand that the killer's dead bodies have been stuffed into some of the suits, and that with the help of the puppet, the kids were able to find new life in those robotic bodies. But then what about Shadow Bonnie and Shadow Freddy, who randomly appeared in FNAF 2 only to become prominent figures throughout Part 3? How do they fit in? What about the ghostly Golden Freddy, someone we've been talking about since the first game, and yet we still don't really know anything about him? Well, now that we finally have all the facts, I think it's time we revisit my timeline I presented in the last episode to see what I got right, what I got wrong. Yes, you heard that. Wrong. No shame. I'm a big boy. Mommy, wow, I'm a big kid now. And finally fill in the missing details to create what
right here. The camera's right there. Mochi! Everyone say hello to Mochi. Okay. Bye. W Yuri, W Kitty. Alright, let's continue, guys. Let's continue. Quick little break. Mochi just stole the stream. Yo, why is the entire chat just like, Mochi, so fluffy? Yeah, super cute.
But
you guys will see her more in the vlogs.
My definitive Five Nights theory, and boy howdy, it is a doozy. So strap in, theorists. You wanted it, you're about to get it. Overall, the timeline of the franchise I presented in the last video still holds strong. Decades before the name became a horror legend meriting its own theme park style attraction, Freddy Fazbear got his start at Fredbear Family Diner. It's here where our story begins as Purple Guy takes his first victim, something we see in the Take Cake minigame from Five Nights at Freddy's 2. What tells us that this is Fredbear's and first in the timeline? Well, as I said last time, in addition to it being a small space, the only character we see is Freddy, whereas all other minigames feature multiple animatronics. He's also holding a cupcake. Since that would later become Chica's signature item, the event depicted in this game must have come before she was created. Additionally, notice that the Purple Guy's murder takes place outside the building. This is the only time we see him murder someone outside the walls of a Fazbear building.
That never happened. But like this was in FNAF 2, right? How come we didn't see that in the movie? Why didn't they ever show that in the movie? Did they? I don't think they ever showed that. FNAF 3 was after FNAF 1. So like FNAF, okay, so like it was the storyline goes FNAF 2 first, FNAF 1, and then FNAF 3, right? I'm guessing. The movie is different to the games? Oh, okay. But they took inspiration mostly, right? Hey, Rage, did you know that MatPat voiced Toy Bonnie in the second movie? Really? Yo, we saw he was like the diner guy at he was the waiter at the diner in the first movie, right? And then we had Corey as the taxi driver in both movies, which is really awesome. Shout out Corey, man. He's one of my favorite YouTubers.
Likely his first victim. Serial killers often have what's known as a signature, a way of killing that's unique to him and him alone. For Purple Guy, his signature is dressing in an animatronic costume, then luring children to the back of the pizzeria and killing them there. But this murder occurs before he developed.
No, but the girl he stabbed was in the kitchen. It wasn't outside. So
this particular style, implying that it's the first. From there, we know that the puppet jump scare that always follows this minigame, combined with the tier design on both the dead child and the puppet's mask, implies that the soul of the first child now exists in the puppet. The event caused the original owners to sell the Fredbear name, who then rebranded and avoided the negative PR, becoming what we know today as Fazbear Entertainment. They then opened a new chain of restaurants, which we never saw in the games, until the release of Five Nights 3.
Oh my gosh, dude. Springtrap is the ugliest one.
Diner like many interpret, but rather the first location of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, predating the events of Five Nights at Freddy's 2. How do we know? Well, by paying close attention to the old recordings of Phone Guy dug up in FNAF 3, he introduces us to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, not Diner, before explaining the functionality of the special spring lock suits.
Welcome to your new career as a performer/entertainer for Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Right now we have two specially designed suits that double as both animatronic and suit.
He also lets us know that the animatronics are still allowed to walk around freely during the day, meaning that this is happening before the bite of 87, in which an animatronic bites someone during business hours, removing their frontal lobe, and resulting in the animatronics being restricted to moving around only at night.
The bite of 87.
Operation, the animatronics are set to turn and walk towards sound machines.
As Phone Guy informs us, and as we see in the Stage 01 minigame, there are two specialty suits, a Golden Bonnie suit and the origins of the infamous Golden Freddy. But the lifespan of these spring-lock suits is actually short-lived as we learn about their one fatal flaw.
After learning of an unfortunate incident at the sister location involving multiple and simultaneous spring-lock failures, the company has deemed the suits temporarily unfit for employees. The classic suits are being retired to an appropriate location.
Now, let's pause here. Two employees are killed by the failure of a Bonnie suit and a Freddy suit. Where else in the game do we see Bonnie and Freddy sharing a unique feature that no one else in the game possesses? Shadow Freddy and Shadow Bonnie. Could this be the origin of the paranormal Shadow suits? Yes, actually. Shadow Freddy and Shadow Bonnie are tied to the ghosts of the employees who died in the spring suits. Get this, the employees' bodies were taken out of the suits, which is why their appearance is more paranormal and why they can't possess them as well as the children can. Plus, having this as their origin would explain the in-game behavior of both suits. In FNAF 3, we see that Purple Guy hides in a secret safe room that has been built into every pizzeria. A room that's hidden to customers and invisible to the animatronics programming. During the minigames that occur between nights, we see Shadow Freddy lead the other animatronics to this secret room, only to cause them to glitch out and then get torn apart by Purple Guy. This supernatural origin story is how Shadow Freddy is able to enter the safe room when other animatronics can't. How he's able to lead you to that room in the first place when other animatronics wouldn't be able to see it based on their programming, and even why he leads you there, knowing that Purple Guy attacking you will eventually free your soul. That's also why there's no Purple Freddy suit when you do finally enter that room. It's not an alternate Purple Guy costume like many believe, it's an apparition. Suck on that, Harry Potter, I knew someone would apparate eventually. It also explains why Shadow Bonnie's minigame in FNAF 3 always starts on Stage 01, the spring suit.
When did this happen?
Also explains why Shadow Bonnie's minigame in FNAF 3 always starts on Stage 01.
Wait, did we ever see this?
The spring suits, and why it's the one animatronic we control that has
I don't think we ever got this minigame.
Glitch, fly, and teleport. As we concluded last episode, this is also the point in the timeline of the first missing children's
Easter egg.
The one we learn about via newspaper clippings in Five Nights 1.
But we died so many
based
times.
On the newspaper clipping evidence we have, we know that the mauve murderer dressed in one of the suits lured children to a back room and killed them. He's starting to develop his signature, but one nagging detail FNAF theorists have been wondering is what suit does he use for his disguise? The answer? Golden Bonnie. Why? Well, remember the phone guy saying the faulty suits were being retired to an appropriate
AKA
location.
Springtrap, right?
There's a high likelihood they're being stored in one of the safe rooms in the restaurants. Plus, we hear in FNAF 2 that the purple guy has a habit of using a yellow suit.
We had a spare in the back, a yellow one. Someone used it.
But why not Golden Freddy? Phone Guy tells us so at the beginning of Night 5 in FNAF 3.
Management has also been made aware that the Spring Bonnie animatronic has been noticeably moved.
My, what an oddly specific detail to include, Scott Cawthon. And remember, these tapes that play in FNAF 3 date all the way back to the first pizzeria location, which is why this detail is so important. It reflects Purple Guy starting to develop his signature killing pattern. From there, we know the rest of the story. Purple Guy kills the kids, stuffs the bodies into the suits to hide them, but as we read the paper, is caught on camera and arrested. Meanwhile, the puppet gives life to the children, and the angry spirits possess the robots. Or is that really how it goes? Let's go back to the Give Gifts, Give Life minigame. The children are lying there dead, and the puppet first tries to give them presents. Weird, right? Weird until you consider that his place is at the prize corner. Giving presents is the only thing he knows that can make children happy. It's a reflex. Remember, this is still a child spirit in this puppet,
true.
but when that doesn't work,
Dude, if you start if you begin to just think about that fact in itself, it's like all of these animatronics, they're all kids, man. It's just kid souls that they just want to spend time with friends. They just want to make friends. They just want to hang out with you.
Puppet goes around one more time and
That's
does
so
the only
sad.
other thing it can
That's
think
so
of.
sad,
Put the
dude.
bodies into the suits. You heard that right. In trying to save the children, he's the one hiding them in the animatronic suits. Not the killer like we've been assuming. But then what about the 5th child, as there's only 4 here? Well, as we pointed out last time, the 5th child is there too, appearing at the very end of the minigame and taking the role of Golden Freddy. But remember, Golden Freddy is a decommissioned spring-lock suit at this point, deemed too unsafe to be functional. The reason he's slumped over and can't move like the rest is that his endoskeleton has been taken out. He's in suit mode, not free roaming mode. He physically doesn't have the mechanisms in place to
But the
stand
soul
up and
is
move.
there?
Possessed or no, a dead child's spirit
Aw.
just can't give a boneless
He's
suit
just
the
stuck.
ability to stand. This also explains the lone naked endoskeleton
Ew,
that
dude,
appears
that's so
occasionally
creepy.
in both Five Nights 2.
Guys, you know what? I think I mentioned this before, but do you guys know what that endoskeleton looks like? It looks like Elber, dude. It looks like my guy Elber. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Elber before, but this is what it reminds me of. Looks like Elber the robot.
Explains the lone naked endoskeleton that appears occasionally in both Five Nights 2 and Five Nights 1. An endoskeleton that once belonged to Golden Freddy. Whew. I know I made you wait for this one, so I knew I had to make it count. Heck, if there ain't a lot to cover. Still with me? Good, because we're ready for our next location. You see, since the puppet hid the bodies, no one knows they're in the suits until they start oozing and smelling, which, as we see in the papers, eventually gets the place shut down for health violations. The company tries to recover from, quote, the tragedy that took place there many years ago, but can't, and eventually is forced to shut its doors for good. This leads to the trailer for Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Finally, we're actually going to talk about a game in the series. Seriously,
go.
can you believe we've been going this whole time on locations that aren't even settings for the 3 main games? That is why this lore is so challenging, but also so interesting. Anyway, forgotten.
But this is why I like MatPat's videos, because like he takes such a deep dive that's outside of the games as well. So it's like, do you guys hear that? Hello? Where? Did you guys hear that? Or was it me? What the? Hey! Come here! Come here! Yo! She's just in the corner of my room just meowing. It's so cute. All right, but anyways, I'll just let her do whatever she wants. But yeah, I really like the fact that he takes such a deep dive into the lore outside of the games.
Dismantled,
Give her attention after
deactivated.
the
These
stream.
are the words you see at the beginning of the trailer. Back when the
You
debate
guys will
about
see in the
whether
vlog.
this game was a
You guys will see in the vlog that I post later this week. I was like tossing. I was basically playing fetch with this cat, but she doesn't bring the stuff back. Like I'll throw the stuff and she'll chase after it. She won't bring it back. Let me see if I have footage of it. If I do, I'm gonna show you guys. I have Oh. What the? Yo! Yo! She's gonna knock over all the drinks and stuff. Hey, Mochi, don't bite the cables, okay? All right, I'm gonna have to go get this cat's mom real quick. That's okay. She has a bad habit of biting on the cables, so I was a little worried. But anyways, guys, let's complete this video.
sequel or a prequel to the first
RageElixir.
game, these words made it seem like a follow-up, that everything had been shut down since the first game, but it wasn't. These words are a reference to the business being closed down after that first missing children's incident. That's why posters everywhere in Five Nights 2 are all about the brand new Fazbear Pizza.
So this was first.
It's the grand reopening after years of being out of business. That's also why the new toy animatronics have built-in facial recognition software to a criminal database. They need to be careful to prevent another incident. But as we know, it doesn't work. As we see in the Save Them minigame, 5 more children get killed in this new location.
That's so sad.
We know it's the new location because the minigame map's layout perfectly matches this new Fazbear business. We also know it couldn't have happened earlier in the timeline, as both the old animatronics and new toy robots are presented in the game. But this time, the puppet's solution isn't saving the kids, it's stopping the killer. He enlists the help of Freddy to try and S-A-V-E-T.
Oh, so in the game, the puppet is a boy? Cause in the movie it was a girl, right?
H-E-M, leading the bear to the killer's location.
Unless I have it wrong.
Except Purple Guy came prepared, equipped with not a phone, but rather something to help him tamper with the animatronics. He knows that
it's a girl in
something
both.
fishy is going on with these robots, because he's been watching, studying. The puppet wants Freddy to
they got it
save
wrong
them,
then?
to which the killer's answer is only this: you can't. So how did the Purple Guy manage it when he had been caught years before? What about the bite of 87? How do FNAF 1 and 3 fit in? And most importantly of all, who is the Purple Guy? All that next week.
No! Don't hold us back. Don't hold us back. Good thing we've got the next one. Game Theory FNAF Mystery Solved Part 2. Yup, we're going through all of this today, guys. We've got this one and another one after this. It's just a game theory. I'm gonna just skip the intro, guys. I hope you guys don't mind.
FNAF suits. Click here if you missed it to get caught up. Don't worry, I'll wait. This is a pausable video after all. But today we're covering the major questions from the franchise.
Yes.
The final bits of the timeline,
Trying to learn
the ending of the game, and most
what I just
importantly
played
of all, the identity of the Purple Guy. So enough intro, let's cut to the chase. When we left things off, there had been another round of murder done in Fazbear Pizza. Purple Guy had once again used a Golden Bonnie suit to lure in another set of 5 kids and kill them, as depicted in the Save Them minigame from FNAF 2. The place gets closed for investigation a few days later, but the one thing that practically everyone overlooks in this location is that it gets reopened. In FNAF 2, the Night 1 phone call welcomes you to your new summer job at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza.
Hello and welcome to your new summer job at the new and improved Freddy Fazbear's Pizza.
Summer job. And yet, the paycheck at the end of the week reads November. There is not a single place in the world where November is a summer month. Not one.
Wait,
meaning that
what about Australia? Does that not count?
all these tapes are pre-recorded. And honestly, that shouldn't be a surprise.
This could be in Australia, but you know, there was no accent, so it doesn't make sense.
His calls are recordings in every game. In FNAF 1, before Phone Guy dies, he says he's glad he recorded these messages when he did.
I'm kind of glad that I recorded my messages for you.
And then
My guy's
in
about
FNAF
to die.
3, they find the old training tapes the Phone Guy made.
First of all, we found some vintage audio training cassettes. Dude, these are like prehistoric. I think they were like training tapes.
In short, all of Phone Guy's messages are unstuck in time, not recorded anytime near your tenure as security guard. That includes the ones in FNAF 2 talking about children going missing. The pizzeria isn't being shut down for an investigation of some missing children the week you happen to be working there. You're listening to old tapes meant for the night security guard from months ago. Need more proof? Night 6's call references a birthday party happening as the last event
I never
before
played
the building
Night 6.
closes. But what decorations do we see put up throughout the building for the entirety of the week you're working there? Happy birthday banners. Confusing? You betcha. Game-changing? Absolutely. This means that both Jeremy and Fritz, the characters you play as throughout FNAF 2, aren't the killer Purple Guy at all. They were both working in November, after the Yellow Suit investigation and the killer getting charged. Which brings us to the other key point in the timeline, the bite of 87.
The bite of 87.
Ever since we heard about this mysterious frontal lobe nibble on that first fateful night at Freddy's, we've wanted to know more about this bizarre attack.
During
the one
that
ends
birthday
up
party?
resulting in animatronics no longer being allowed to walk around during the day. But now, 3 games in, we do know more. We know it took place in the location of FNAF 2 based on the 1987 date on Jeremy's paycheck. And furthermore, the newspaper clipping that ends FNAF 2 gives us a clue that it's the bite which closes this version of the restaurant. restaurant, not some serial killing.
Yep.
Quote, after being open a few short weeks, the restaurant is closing its doors, the article says, with the new animatronics being scrapped for possible malfunction. That's game designer Scott Cawthon telling us that one of the new toy animatronics bit someone during the day. Why
Dude.
else would the new robots be scrapped while the old ones get kept for possible reorganization? Well,
Guys, like imagine how traumatizing it would be if you went to like the best comparison I can think of is Chuck E. Cheese. I don't know if you guys know what Chuck E. Cheese is, but it's something that I grew up with. Imagine being at a Chuck E. Cheese, right? Like this is the only thing I can compare it to, and I'm sure like FNAF was kind of based on this as well. Like growing up, I went to Chuck E. Cheese with for like events with my friends and all that, and this is the same type of vibe that, you know, FNAF gives me. And imagine just enjoying a birthday party, and all of a sudden you see this rat right here, you know, Mr. Cheese, Mr. Chuck. He just bites someone in the head. That's gotta be the most traumatizing thing ever. Are Chuck E. Cheese's even still a thing anymore? I think there's still one here. Yo, D Cinna. Wait, you got VIP? Who are you? Did you change your username or something? Yeah, I think there's still a Chuck E. Cheese. Close to where I live actually. It's kind of crazy. Yo, Derek, what's up, my guy? We just finished playing FNAF 3 and 4 today. Yeah, we completed it, Blue Ant. Chuck E. Cheese removed all the animatronics, unfortunately. I mean, Exhibit A right here.
Well, outside of an obvious need to retcon why these new robots didn't appear in Five Nights 1, it's because the company considered them safer, relatively speaking. So, then who's the biter? Well, it's none other than the pile of scraps and parts,
Oh,
Mangle. The most obvious clue is the animatronic's unhinged jaw. The frontal lobe is the biggest part of the human brain, and the size and shape of the other toy robots' mouths just
They're not
wouldn't
big
be
enough.
able to handle the size of the human head, especially when you compare it to the Mangle's narrow snout and wide open mouth.
Dude.
There's also Mangle's
In your opinion, what is the most terrifying animatronic in FNAF? What do you guys think it is? For me, it's probably Mangle or Springtrap. I think Springtrap is pretty terrifying.
sharper teeth and potential angle of attack. As shown by its jump scare, Mangle goes for the top of the head. And who got bit? Well, there isn't enough evidence to say definitively, but your most likely candidate would be fan favorite Jeremy Fitzgerald. Jeremy passes the test, and on his paycheck at the end of the week, he's welcomed into the family, presumably getting moved to day shift. Fritz gets hired to replace him on day 7, but then promptly gets fired for tampering with the animatronics. That means he's not likely the one to get bit, and instead the person who follows him on day shift is, leaving Jeremy as the most likely frontal lobeless candidate.
Yikes.
But regardless of whether it's Jeremy or some other customer we've never met, someone gets bit, the restaurant closes for good, and as the newspaper clippings show, the old animatronics go into
unfortunate.
storage awaiting a smaller location with a lower budget. Fast forward to the 90s
Springtrap
and
never
FNAF
died.
1. We know it's the 90s based on the hourly rate of the paycheck received by Mike Schmidt, security guard extraordinaire from the first game, something we proved in our first Five Nights video. And now we can
$4
breathe
an
a sigh
hour.
of relief, because this was the beautiful time long ago, last August, when the games
I mean, this
weren't
was
so
back in 87,
complicated,
so.
when the biggest mysteries were a game-crashing gold
They were
bear
making
and the
bank
words,
back
"It's
then."
me." No death minigames, no puppets, no need to shoehorn in extra overcomplicated storylines. That all would come later when the first game became a smash hit and got itself some sequels. And boy, did those sequels make things.
Wait, so what was the timeline of the games coming out? So FNAF 1, let me just look up the release dates. FNAF 1 release date. So it was August 8th, 2014 for the first game, right? So how long after until FNAF 2 came out? FNAF 2 release date game release date was... Wait, what? It came out like a couple months right after. They had already had it under development or something?
Game became a smash hit and got
That's
itself
crazy.
some sequels. And boy, did those sequels make things complicated, as both featured 8-bit minigames revealing more details
And it was,
about
like,
this
so well thought
location
out,
from
too.
the original game. First things first, we know that the purple
This is
guy
why
kills
Scott's the
5
GOAT, right?
children here. We see it in the Foxy Go 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 minigame from FNAF 2. Foxy runs past a grinning purple guy to see 5 dead bodies. Sorry, no fireworks this time, Foxy. And how do we know it's the FNAF 1 location? Well, it's the only time the game when Foxy's stage, Pirate Cove, is located to the west of a dining area. See how he performs for the children by running to the right? That matches the map layout of the FNAF 1 pizzeria. We also know from the FNAF 3 minigames that this is where the purple guy dies inside a golden Springlock Bonnie suit in a safe room near the back. One built so that it would never show up on camera, conveniently explaining why it never appeared in the first game. But Springtrap. Weren't those safe rooms sealed up a long time ago?
Yeah, and then we were able to enter.
Last episode, but the old recordings of Phone Guy we listened to throughout FNAF 3 say that these rooms are being closed off, discontinued, and will never be mentioned again. Why would a location 20 years later possess a safe room unless it was the same building as the first Freddy Fazbear's Pizza location?
Shoot!
That's why it's in such disrepair when we see it in the FNAF 3 minigames. Boarded up with rats on the floor.
That's what, guys, I thought these were like Nike slides or something. Oh my god, that makes so much more sense. These were rats?
Down for years.
It was the same location.
Means the dead kids from the Foxy Go 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 minigame aren't another set
They're
of
the
new
same
victims.
ones.
'Cause seriously, at this point, the killer would have made his way through like a short bus full of pizza-hungry children. No, those kids are the first 5 dead kids.
That makes a lot of sense.
The ones who would eventually possess Old Bonnie, Chica, Freddy Foxy, and Golden Freddy. I mean, look, if the animatronics were possessed at this point, don't you think Foxy would be attacking Purple Guy rather than just running past him to perform for some dead kids? This also explains the random cutscene from FNAF 2 where the puppet's looking into Freddy's eyes.
Ooh.
You can tell by the tables in the background and the design of both Bonnie and Chica that this is the FNAF 1 location with the old animatronics on stage.
Yeah,
but
I figured that much because it was the same
flash
table.
forward to the game's next location, but rather a flashback to the moment the puppet brought these characters, these children, to life. Okay, but that's just tying together some loose ends in the story. We're interested in how this whole thing ends, and those FNAF 3 minigames give us the conclusion we're looking for. These flashback minigames show Purple Guy dismantling the animatronics from the security of the safe room one by one, but in doing so, he's unwittingly releasing the spirits of his former victims. Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, Golden Freddy. When their powers combine, they are able to scare Purple Guy into the Golden Bonnie Springlock suit, which fails, crushes him pretty much to the point of death, though notice we never actually see him die, and the spirits fade away. Golden Bonnie, with Purple Guy inside, now known as Springtrap, rots away in the safe room for years until he's finally uncovered by the founders of Fazbear's Fright from the 3rd game. With the discovery of Springtrap, this haunted house attraction inspired by the years of mystery and murder of the pizzeria chain, finally has their first real animatronic.
That's so terrifying.
Who then haunts the player for 5 nights and a nightmare night until the place burns down due to faulty wiring. The end. Take a bow. It's finally over. Well, kinda. We're still left with
that's why when I got the bad ending, they still had the souls inside the eyeballs, right? That's probably why it was still glowing.
Take a bow. It's finally over. Well, kinda. We're still left with one final, seemingly impossible question to
What is
answer.
it? What's the final question?
Is the Purple Guy?
Isn't
After
it?
spending, I kid you not, full days plotting out all the details of this game franchise on whiteboards, talking it over with anyone who would stand to listen to me ramble on and on about fictional haunted robots, and just looking at it from every possible angle, all logic points to it being...
Find out next time. I knew it. Find out next time on Dragon Ball Z. We got one more video, guys. Game Theory FNAF Mystery Solved, Part 2, the second half. Let's find out who Purple Guy really was.
Answer: who is the Purple Guy? After spending the Phone Guy. And no, not because I made a theory about
Scott?
On and on about fictional haunted robots, and just looking at it from every possible angle, all logic points to it being the phone guy. And no, not because I made a theory about it and refused to let it die. Honestly, I couldn't care less if that last video was wrong. At this point, I just care about the truth, and phone guy makes the most logical sense. I know your complaints, and I promise you, if you stick with me, you'll be convinced. First, there's the circumstantial evidence I presented during my FNAF 2
let's see
phone
your
guy's
reasoning
admitted
behind
love
this.
of Foxy being reflected by the smiling purple guy sprite during the Foxy Go 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 minigame. His distrust of the puppet, a creature haunted by his first victim that we see time and time again trying to bring a stop to his killing spree. His admitted role as a security guard, and even the weird phone-like object in his hand from the Save Them
What? I thought that was his hand the whole time. It just blends in.
minigame. But there's even more evidence when we consider Five Nights 3. Consider this. He's the only person in the game who knows about the safe rooms. As we've mentioned before, all the safe rooms were sealed up back in the Springlock suit days, back in the first Freddy Fazbear's Pizza location, meaning every other employee coming afterward would have never even heard of these things. Phone Guy is the only character we meet who would have any knowledge of these rooms, and more importantly, of how they operate, how they're invisible to the cameras, and more importantly, to the animatronics.
But we all know that the purple guy is William Afton, right? The guy who killed everyone, and basically, like, it is William Afton, right? And I'm not gonna lie though, because this was made back in 2016 when the game was still pretty new and fresh, this is a pretty good theory, because like, it would make a lot of sense, right? Because purple guy and the phone guy seem to both be really knowledgeable about all the animatronics.
That's just the beginning. He's also the only person who knows how to use the Springlock suits. Again, once they were decommissioned, the suits were hidden away. Regardless of whether you believe that the killer used a golden Bonnie suit the whole time, or you think he used a golden Freddy suit.
And someone made a good point. If he was really the phone guy, then why would he be still talking, right? There was Springtrap in FNAF 3, but also there was still someone talking on the phone. And it wouldn't make a lot of sense unless that voice recording was recorded a long time ago, but that still wouldn't make sense.
Either way, we know for a fact the killer was using one of the yellow spring-locked suits, and Phone Guy is the only character we know who had knowledge of A, where they were hidden, and B, how they were operated safely. Now, I know a lot of people have said that it couldn't have been Phone Guy because he knew better. He knew that they were dangerous and could kill him, so if he was indeed the purple guy, he wouldn't just hop into a Springtrap suit like we see depicted at the ending of FNAF 3.
Great theory, though.
There's
Great theory.
one key detail that everyone has been overlooking, and that Scott carefully included in this game. Listen. Hear it? There's rain. There are puddles on the ground. It's dripping from the ceiling. The killer had been using these Springlock suits safely for years, but in his panic to escape the ghosts, he failed to notice the wetness of the building around him. The killer had never encountered this problem before because the building had always been in a decent state of repair, but now it's a wreck, torn apart by age. Rain is able to seep in, something he didn't realize when he was in such a hurry to run away from the ghosts. And if moist breath can loosen the locks, you can bet some rain would make those suckers ready to snap shut. And they do, killing our killer. I mean, all of that makes a pretty compelling argument, almost an open and shut case, if there wasn't one final major criticism to the Phone Guy theory since the release of FNAF 3.
There we go.
It's a good one. The fact that Phone Guy seems to die during his Night 4 phone call from the first game.
Hey, listen, I may not be around to send you a message tomorrow. It's been a bad night here for me. I'm kind of glad that I recorded my messages for you when I did.
If Phone Guy was the killer, why would the robots still be active after his death and the ghosts disappear?
That's true.
It just wouldn't make sense unless you stop to consider the rest of FNAF 3's endings. The big twist in FNAF 3 is the inclusion of a good and bad ending. By completing the game normally, you get the bad ending, in which we see Purple Guy die in a flashback minigame, and the whole thing ends with 5 masks representing the 5 main animatronics with lights on on behind their eyes. The good ending, meanwhile, requires using some not so subtly hidden clues to unlock minigames, then basically ignoring those games, glitching them out, and giving hidden dead kids cake to make them happy, obviously referring to the victims of Purple Guy. Beat the game this time and the ending is largely the same, but with one fewer animatronic mask and no lights on. The obvious difference here is that in the good ending, the souls of the dead children have been put at peace.
That's
when
so
they
sad.
disappear,
No.
they disappear for good. They don't go back to their animatronic bodies. But the bad ending? The lights on behind the eyes of all 5 masks mean that these guys are still active. Angry, restless spirits still haunting the robots to this day. Because here's the thing, the good ending doesn't exist until you, as the player of the 3rd installment, give cake to those kids during FNAF 3's hidden minigames. What you play in FNAF 1, though, is the aftermath of the bad ending, when the animatronics have killed Phone Guy, but are still out for vengeance. Yeah, you made it through those first 5 nights at Freddy's. You overheard the death of the Purple Guy recorded live on the phone, but it wasn't enough. You got the bad ending. Even with the killer crippled in the back room in a spring-lock suit, the lights are still on in these animatronics. They're still roaming the halls, attacking anyone wearing that much-hated security guard outfit.
They might as well just change the
like
security
Mike
outfit
Schmidt,
at this
an
point.
innocent guy just trying to do his job
Mike
at a
Schmidt.
failing pizza restaurant. And as the final nail in the coffin, what Phone Guy says in his Night 4 recording perfectly foreshadows what we see in the games.
Maybe sometime you could check inside those suits in the back room. I'm gonna try to hold out until someone checks. Maybe it won't be so bad.
Oh, you'd be surprised.
I always wondered what was in all those empty heads back there.
Think about what Purple Guy does. He hides in a back room, the safe room, hides in a suit, and despite getting sprung trapped, actually does hold out until someone checks. Holds out long enough for the phone dude to find the hidden safe room, recover the animatronic, and set him free in Fazbear Fright. Exactly what the Phone Guy said he'd do in his final moments. And as Springtrap, he comes back in FNAF 3. Comes back like he always does. And with no real animatronics present at Fazbear's Fright, remember Springtrap is the only real one they've found, with all the rest scattered, probably located in dumps, which is why their bodies and faces are decaying. All that the spirits can do is appear as phantoms, hallucinations.
That's right.
Well,
So it's
all except
basically
one,
just
the
Springtrap in the
puppet,
3rd game.
who we see in his physical form roaming the hallways of Fazbear Fright. So real, in fact, that we see his reflection visible in the pools of water under his feet, meaning he is there and unburnt. There's only one way to truly end this. End the murderous Purple Guy, burning the place to the ground. The puppet gave robots life, gave spirits peace, and finally gave the murderer, the Phone Guy, his long-deserved death, or at least tried to. And that is the end.
Turns
of the
out it
Five
wasn't
Nights
the
at
Phone Guy
Freddy's
after
story.
all.
No hat, no movie, no 4th installment.
What?
You sure about that?
No! 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 No!
Oh my gosh.
Purple Guy?
Oh my gosh, what happened? What's wrong?
Oh,
Look!
it's Matt.
Oh no.
Oh, the final
But
chapter.
hey, that's just a theory.
Hey, it's a really good theory, though. I won't lie. But correct me if I'm wrong, though, guys. FNAF 4 basically came before all of these games, right? Before 1, 2, and 3, because FNAF 4 was like leading up to the birthday party, because it was the 5 days before the birthday party of what, Michael Afton, and that makes a lot more sense if, you know, the Purple Guy is the father. But it really wasn't the final chapter, right? You want to react to the FNAF 4 theory? Probably not today. Let's do it in the next stream. But real quickly, guys, I'm gonna use the bathroom so I can talk to you guys. But I really hope you guys enjoyed all the lore, and I can't believe we finished FNAF 4 today, guys. Holy crap.